Three different topics that we're going to start with, which would be the Myron Dickens project, the NAONS fabrication work, and the Innovation Immersion program, which we're having a focus group on tomorrow. I'll try and go through these relatively quickly and then open wide to questions or anything else that you guys want to ask about or discuss. The hope of these calls on a monthly basis is to help me help you be better informed on what we're doing. We have not to now help people identify a level we could. The number of things we've got going on, the number of successes we really sort of had already, which has been sort of incredibly encouraging. So please, if there is anything, ask away. These calls are for you and for your information. So, moving forward, the first one we discussed would be Myron Dickens. If those have heard from before from our meetings, probably nauseam, this is one I'm actually extremely excited about. What Myron Dickens is you have an established author writes the first chapter, and then every other chapter is an open contest to be written until you get a novel out. What it does from a student perspective is it provides editing opportunities, which are like gold dust. Then, in addition for having writers, it provides them an opportunity to get some bylines, get a resume under them, actually allow them to be marketable someday when they actually graduate. We have finished the first book. The second book, the first one at Simpson. MyronDickens.org is where the books are all produced. Essentially, each chapter is published online so that people can build off of it as they grow the novel. The completed novel is available via Amazon in both paperback and Kindle. We also actually made a sale to Beaverdale Books, which is pretty exciting because apparently they had 5 people call in and ask for pre-orders from them, and we sold them 20 and not on consignment, which for a place like Beaverdale Books is a huge step in the positive direction. I know it doesn't sound like much, but we've already in the second edition passed the number of books sold in the first edition, which was in the 2011 version of The Devil's Done Sinning. When we ran this the first time, we've now already, without any marketing yet, surpassed what was done there sales-wise. On this page here, what we have is, again, we have a total of 8 chapters in the book. 7 of those were written by either Simpson students or Simpson alums, which is very positive. As far as editing opportunities, as we mentioned, while your average student in your average college has probably about 3 editing bylines they're probably able to get over the course of their entire career, Myron Dickens project expands that to 32 with just this project. Again, there's 8 different editing opportunities every year for every student to be involved with, which really increases the value of getting an English degree at Simpson College. This was, as far as David Wolf was seeing, the number one thing that turned the lights on for potential English students when they're coming to the junior visit day the other week. Average students per project on this, within Emerge across the campus, we average about 2 students per venture. Myron Dickens was able to engage 13 in this last run. And with regards to professors, right now we have 3 different professors engaged on this project. From marketing, art, and English. We believe where this is going in the next year, that's going to expand to 7 professors, which is a highly positive expansion of involvement. Why that will be expanding is because Myron Dickens is actually, by having engaged, will be launching Little Dickens, actually. Little Dickens is similar concept, but into a slightly different format, where the Myron Dickens is one novel that's written every month. Little Dickens essentially would go into a youth group where you'd have probably 10 to 20 kids who are there. You would have an artist on site. The facilitator would start off a story on the first page, and every kid would tell the next page until a book is created. Within this program, what we're able to do is provide everything from art majors to early education majors to videographers for actually recording the event, We would then go after the fact to get involved more art students for doing illustration, where essentially we're producing a children's book potentially once a month. This can engage up to 5 students per team at a minimum, between the actual event itself and the post-production. You're talking about the number of books per student over the course of a 4-year run, where Modern Dickens, the regular one, allows us only 4. Really, this can expand us to over 32 books that can be under an individual's byline by the time they graduate if they're really going after it. And because of that, because we're also engaging so many students in each event, we're talking about guaranteed sales, because for every kid that has a byline on a book like something like this, their parents or grandparent will buy it. So we have what could become an intriguing activity for both engaging students, engaging a diverse collection of professors, and creating what isn't going to be the most world-beating revenue stream, but a reasonable revenue stream for something that is really benefiting education. Where Little Dickens and Modern Dickens are relevant is Professor David Wolf has actually taken a keen interest in regrowing the Simpson College Press. Under that, we would have Modern Dickens Project, Little Dickens, looking into other undergraduate research journals or other activities, essentially creating the first undergraduate run and operated press. As you've seen, Modern Dickens has now had success actually getting a book published and done. Little Dickens, we right now are in the process of a partnership with the Animal Rescue League, so we would be running our first Little Dickens activity with the Animal Rescue League targeted for the end of August. And there's already been discussion with other division heads within the college about an undergraduate research journal. So the opportunities here under the entire business, which is a new publishing company, we already have 2 streams of product we'd be looking at, with a number of other areas where we can engage a wide range of students. And while this isn't going to be a multi-billion-dollar industry, it is something that does have revenue that will be able to flow in while still doing something incredibly useful for the college. I guess, did anyone have any questions on that initially, or do we want to go through the other 2 first and then do all the questions at once?
I have some comments, questions on Dickens.
Okay.
Is David Wolf you referred to, is he the department head in the English department?
Apologies, yes. David Wolf is the head of the department for the English department.
Yeah, okay. So I ran into him, I can't remember where it was, but him and his wife, who's an adjunct professor there in the English department, and we got to talking about this, and he was thrilled. He's really excited about the whole Modern Dickens thing. He thinks it's going very well, and his wife, who teaches elsewhere in the department, also was. But he did say that there are some issues that Birkenholtz has raised around the Simpson Press and getting that properly set up to handle all this kind of stuff. So I assume you're aware of that, Chris, and that there's progress getting that worked out.
Yeah, we Birkenholtz initiated a meeting with Allers Law Firm, which was attended by him, myself, Dean Griffiths, and President Simmons, as well as Jerry Kelly, where we talked through those pieces. It seemed that the items, we had set up everything to run as Simpson College Press this year, and I thought because there actually was a Simpson College Press book published back in the 80s, I think it's Under the Whispering Maples it was. We believed everything had been approved. We'd actually gone out in the alumni magazine and everything else. It sounds like there was some confusion at the cabinet level about that. And so this year, the Modern Dickens Project has gone out under essentially the press. As soon as we're able to actually, which means the revenue for the Modern Dickens Project won't be directly coming into Simpson this year, which is a little disappointing for the model. with regards to Simpson, because the only risk that was identified is the one that was known, which is that there may be access to a tax that must be paid that would not exceed 1/3 of the revenues of these, because they may be classified. A very, very small probability chance, according to a lawyer from Allers who was there, a very small probability chance these is classified as non-relevant income. But if you're selling 100 books and you're making $6 on each, I think that $200 is your maximum risk there, is what I think the conclusion was. So I believe we've got that piece sorted out. And I think we are now, Professor Wolf is going through the official channel of how you actually officially revive the Simpson College Press. We weren't really sure where it went, where it was. So it was a bit of an unfortunate miss this year when thinking about the overall picture, and it was unfortunate that it came only 3 days out before we actually published. But I think that when you're looking to years on, the most important part, which is the book was produced, students were engaged. We have other streams here that will be producing what appears to be reasonably reliable revenue, although it's not massive, is very positive for both showing we can engage students positively and create a revenue-producing model. So,
so those issues are we will be able to use the Simpson Press going forward?
That's my understanding. My understanding is the only process is about 3 different emails we have to send to 3 people, and then we should be good again. And I think we're in the process.
And as I said, David Wolf was very excited. He seems to be very enthusiastic about Emerge and its relationship to the English department.
I think when you look at our second, oh, sorry, go ahead.
So that's a good positive.
I think when you look at our second project as well, David Wolf is another example where there are some absolute hidden gems at Simpson that are there by accident. David Wolf actually has a background that includes publishing both CBS and Time Magazine. He is possibly one of the most qualified people we could have on something like this. And he was just here because his wife got a job doing food reviews for the Register, and they just ended up staying. He's an amazing resource who is really, I don't know another, University of Iowa obviously, but apart from that and our small college competitors, I don't know who else would have been able to as proficiently execute this. So it's pretty exciting.
Okay.
So, for those on the second one we're hoping to present here today, I don't know how many people are aware that there's nanotechnology stuff going on at Simpson College right now, but it's absolutely amazing. What we have on this slide, if you can see, is Professor Aaron Santos is in the upper picture, and then Professor Derek Lyons is in the bottom there. These two are absolutely astonishing in the fact that their skill sets are amazing. I think if you ask how do we end up with a team that actually could be a world-beating team in this area, again, it's another one where this is almost a very happy accident. These two were actually at the University of Michigan together and never met each other. They only met each other because of the benefit of a campus size like Simpson, where it's smaller to the point where they can actually start working interdisciplinarily. I think everyone saw the NSF grant that's going out. It's a very progressive, very innovative grant, which in it indicates that through the course of their work, which is constructing enzymes in a way that for essentially an operating value of $45,000 a year can take the cost of the material cost of enzyme discovery from $10,000 to $20. It's absolutely mind-blowing. I don't know if Chuck is on the call, but I had Chuck come in and meet with Professor Santos and take a look at this, and I don't want to speak for him. You will definitely have to, but I believe he was very excited about the potential of this. Enzymes, the types of enzymes they're dealing with are relevant in the immediate term for anything from dog food dog food to other food type additives, all the way up to some of their more intriguing solutions get into diabetes and chemotherapy applications. Essentially what is happening there at Simpson right now is what you're seeing on the screen. Those are golden DNA nanocubes. These are actually being consistently and reliably manufactured at Simpson College right now by Professor Lyons, which is astounding. A DNA nanocube, and I apologize for not doing complete justice to this. This is not my area of scientific expertise. Essentially, you have a molecule of gold, and on that you attach pieces of DNA on each different face. And depending on which type of DNA you attach, depends on how it can bond to other pieces. Now, what you essentially have is little pieces of sort of Velcro that one attaches to one but not the other. Mathematically, it becomes very, very complicated. So what turns out we also have, in addition to Derek Lyons, is the actual modeling of all the different outcomes and potentials is what Professor Santos is actually his expertise in. His undergraduate from MIT and then his PhD, master's and PhD from Boston University all did with statistical modeling all the different ways that these things could actually be self-assembled efficiently. So what you actually have is with these nanocubes, if you do the math right and if you structure the cubes right, you can turn them into whatever structure you want. Anything from self-assembling your name to self-assembling little vehicles to theoretically what we're talking about now is creating a lattice work out of these little gold DNA cubes that you can attach enzymes to create attach molecules to create whatever enzymes you want or whatever medicine delivery packages you want. It's absolutely amazing stuff that is really happening at Simpson only because of, in some ways, the accidental assembly of what is a world-beating team. If you look at Professor Santos's background, it's awe-inspiring that he's here. But Derek Lyons, again, from Monroe, an individual who went through Iowa Central first because he didn't know what he was going to do, came to Simpson, I think, in his second year. From Simpson, went off and did his PhD work at the University of Michigan, and now is back. You have two individuals who are extremely impressive, and because of the size of our organization, are here. The opportunity here is, when you're looking at, I think I'm underestimating what the actual cost of them is. I'm sorry, overestimating in some ways the cost of them, underestimating in a commercial sense. They are addressing things in the food enzyme, the diabetes, and the target cancer drugs area. And Bob can tell me whether or not these numbers are right or whether I've got the wrong ones in here because I pulled these myself. The fact is, if this thing does what they think it's going to do, if the early modeling is indicative of where this thing actually goes, and this isn't just computer modeling, they are actually doing things with phosphorescence and proving that the activators that they are using in these are working. This is a multi-billion-dollar solution. And when the question is asked of why isn't anyone else doing it, in a lot of ways, because a lot of this research in other areas is being done by individuals who don't have the opportunity to collaborate across silos as efficiently. Their solution isn't something that isn't, as you can see from the NSF documentation, where I believe Professor Aaron puts a explanation in. It isn't that we don't have all the pieces. It's that final element of connecting them, which is where the real value is, hasn't been aggressively pursued. People are, in research institutions, pursuing perfection in other areas. So there may be an intriguing opportunity here. But of course, it is novel research. So at the end of the day, it's unclear whether or not is this something where we have billions tomorrow? No. I think it is something where $45,000 a year for testing within 3 years, we very, very much know where this is going, which is exciting. But getting back to the reason why they're here, both of these guys have the potential to be anywhere they want. And if anyone recognizes this building, this is the MIT Media Lab. And it was very intriguing. I never asked directly before of Aaron why why he was at Simpson. But what happened apparently when he was an undergrad at MIT, he was in the Media Lab working on these types of things. And what the Media Lab focuses on is undergraduate research in just allowing people, as he terms it, it's a Willy Wonka chocolate factory for nerds. They can work on anything they want. And I think he saw such a value to that undergraduate research and that undergraduate teaching that his real desire is to be in a teaching institution and engaging students in this work. Because of how Professor Lyons is setting up the chemistry department with the no-mix lab, because of the way that they're automating a lot of the systems on how they actually run the equipment, because the modeling that's being done is all Amazon AWS, they have the ability to essentially engage over 150 students per year, crowdsourcing the data that's needed to keep moving this research forward. And they're doing it here because they see a higher purpose, not because there isn't a commercial value here. I think Chuck's first comment on just sitting and talking for about half hour was, we need to protect this because this is huge. So that to me, since he's a lot more of an expert in this than I am, was very refreshing to hear. But this is, apologies, again, something that is the type of real opportunity we were thinking that we may someday find. It turns out it's actually here now. So, any immediate questions on this one before we move on, or?
It sounds pretty exciting from my point of view.
I mean,
If you can change the DNA of that, all that stuff you're feeding all those animals, those turkeys out there, Bob.
I've got better applications than that.
Good.
and I'm hopeful that you have a chance to, or have some time in your future to meet these two guys, because I think not only on this piece of research are they really being innovative. We sat down the other day because one of the points in the talk was they had 5 students engaged on this summer. And my question then was, well, is there anything about those 5 students that is unique about them to a point where we could really sort of come up with a model for how we get you the 150 that are going to be relevant, that are going to pan out? And Professor Santos's answer was, well, you know, number 1, hardworking, number 2, creative, and you know, in all honesty, if you gave me more creative, I'd probably put that ahead of hardworking. And so the question was, how do we go about getting them? And the answer was sort of, well, we don't know. And as we sat around and thought about it, one of the things we started to look at was really a 2-pronged approach. Was number 1, one of the areas that does, you know, Simpson does a very good job of having professors engaged in recruiting. When you look at the English department, for example, you know, Professor Wolf is recruiting kids, and you're getting good kids. The math department is getting kids coming because of that active engagement. And so while we do a good job of it, areas that do a phenomenal job of it are football programs. One of the thoughts, you know, was, you know, what if we just go shadow University of Iowa football program, or Michigan, or Alabama, or someone else, and see how do they constantly engage? And they, you know, that was something that they were very interested in figuring out. Hey, let's go learn from the best at these things and see if there is anything we're missing. The second piece, though, in that discussion was you don't really have a corollary to having, you know, football players smashing around on the field in high school to be able to see while they're still a high-risk pick. You know, you don't have a corollary of having them play on the field. Because of all the things they're doing, and because they're adding so many remote things, they could do that. So right now, what they're looking at and I'm helping is figuring out, is there a sort of a competition we could partner with the Startup Weekend group to actually go into the types of target schools we want. You know, go into a Menlo Park and pull in from South Peninsula and San Francisco, go into Boston and go into, you know, some of those programs, And because as Santos said, what we're looking for is we're looking for B students. We're looking for B students who are creative. We're not looking for 36 ACT students. These aren't the ones that he's found to be the most useful when he's working. They're clearly smart, and they clearly have to test well, and they will test well if they're good, but they aren't necessarily the ones that are always going to be straight A students. So if we can provide a road show where Santos and Lions can actually go and hold these competition events, and they believe there may be an opportunity to get it funded by Mathematica if they structure it right, we can actually go out and have the types of creative students we want in their environment, competing for example, an emerge scholarship or something of that nature, which would be able to allow them to actually get real-time engagement with individuals in the same way a football coach would see a potential, which is seeing them competing and seeing how they actually react to new and creative opportunities. So I'm actually very excited about their willingness to really look at every piece of the model and figure out, is there a better way we can do this? And I think that when you're looking at what the opportunity is here, there's a real need here on sorting out the IP piece of this, which I think is currently in the process. There's a real need here to figure out how do we recruit smarter, because not just any student's going to work for this type of project or is going to be suitable for this type of a project. And I think you have what are two world-beating individuals here in this institution. It's extremely exciting. So.
Excuse me, this is Bob. I have to go. I have a meeting at noon. I'm pretty excited about all this, and I hope to be able to see the recording so I can catch the rest of the meeting. Thank you.
Thanks, Bob. Well, as far as the last piece, or I'm sorry, were there any other questions here? Do we want to go to the last piece?
Okay.
The last one on the docket for today is the Innovation Immersion Program. This is, we are going to be holding a focus group tomorrow from noon to 1:30 in the Midland Building downtown, which also hosts Gravitate, to be getting feedback from potential customers of this course. But so far right now, we're pretty excited about what this is. It's a graduate offering, so an offering through the Graduate Continuing Ed program that should be allowing us to offer a market-designed course for addressing what we believe is a need in the community, which is how do you teach individuals in a corporation to think innovatively and be change agents. So again, we'll know a whole lot more about how successful we have been at pre-planning this thing out tomorrow, but I think the process we've gone by to actually develop this, work on vetting it, and figuring out how we can actually make sure it's successful first time out, I think we've not blazed a lot of trails, but definitely opened doors a few different ways than we had before. So I'm actually very excited about I believe this one will work, but also I'm pretty excited about the fact that we now have a model to grow out things like this in the future. The short of the Innovation Immersion course, the problem we're attempting to solve is the idea that right now, if you do innovation in a corporation, often you end up with a different version of the same box. Whereas if you go into the startup community and ask for something innovative, it's producing something no one knows how to use, or it doesn't look like it can fit any box. How we're attempting to solve this is we would be assembling a class of professionals with executive potential, individuals who we believe will be between the ages of 35 to 45 years old. They'll have about 10 to 15 years of experience, and they'll be experts in 6 different focus areas, which would be operations and strategic management, finance, marketing and sales, human resources, research and development. And each of these individuals would come together, 3 or 4 of each across the 6, giving us a total class of 18 to 24. And each one of those, they would be that team for that startup for the period of the actual course. What we're hoping to get out of that is each of those individuals would bring their 10 to 15 years of experience, everything that they know exactly how to do in their organization and they are expert on, while someone in another organization is expert on it in a completely different way and they do it differently. Taking those and forcing them to rethink everything that they actually do to produce at the end a solution for that startup that is actually appropriate for that startup. For example, in human resources, when you actually start asking, why does a certain position require 5 years experience? Many people may not have ever asked that before. And we start getting to all the fundamentals of what do you really need if you're starting out fresh and starting out with no rules. You're going to be challenging a lot of individuals, challenging their thinking, challenging what they previously thought was the entire world. And the thing is, the world of Ruan is going to be different than the world of Wellmark, is going to be different than the world of Nationwide. And just because you have 10 years, the next question is, do you have what it takes to actually innovate when your company is going to be changing? When Principal redoes an entire building to change how workflow is done, can we identify who is able to actually thrive in that environment and who may not be able to? What we're looking to be able to offer from a student perspective is we want their career accomplishments to be able to add a line that says they made decisions and took actions that grew a successful startup. They really actually achieved something. From a company's perspective, what we believe right now is they're looking for that next individual who they're going to make a bet on and say these are the ones that are going to lead us and innovate, instead of actually just rolling the dice. What we believe we can position this to be is a way to avoid making a $200,000 2-year mistake on the wrong person, and instead make a $2,000 5-day investment on an individual that actually can demonstrate that they have the skills to be a change agent within a company. We're not looking to recruit anyone away. We're looking to say, hey, you have the experience. Out of these 10 people in line, which one is the one that really actually adds the intangibles that you need? So far, what we're proposing is a structure where starting on October 17th would be our opening week. We would be having a 9-week run this fall of 108 contact hours that will require individuals to miss 38 total work hours. So it'd be, as you can see from the calendar on the left, if you have the screen open, you would be missing every other Friday for the duration of the course. To roll this course out through Simpson, we're offering it as a level 900, which means that individuals get continuing education credits through Simpson College, which then, because we have 4 credits, that sets our price point at $19.48, which is an odd number, but ends in an 8, which statistically shows people are more likely to pay it, which is actually really good. When you're looking at the other programs that are out there, we believe we're both price competitive and fit a niche. The two things that the 2 programs are going to be most similar is going to be ABI Leadership Iowa's program from the networking and the engagement side. So taking a group of professionals and putting them together, in this case to be solving problems, but in large part networking across their different industries, but also different companies in the local area. When you're looking at Leadership Iowa's cost is currently $2,500 for approximately 90 contact hours and no academic credits. For Drake Master's course, which is similarly condensed, you're still looking for those 90 credit hours, you're looking at $3,000. While we are not offering the same level of credit, we're probably sitting there in the middle between those two. For Leadership Iowa, as you noticed from before, we are working with them. They are helping us. Kay Newman Thomas has been helping put together the focus group. We have a number of participants through Leadership Iowa, and the reason being, those are really going to be our target candidates. One of the problems Leadership Iowa is trying to solve is, once you go through the program, if you use the entire foundation program of Business Horizons to Leadership University to Leadership Iowa, once you're done there, there is some difficulty in trying to figure out how do we actually continue to engage people, because you can't keep running Leadership Iowa. You can't keep going through it. This provides them a way to be engaging over and over every few years. So we believe there's a strong partnership there, and we believe there's a market need there. But again, this is something we won't know until we really test it tomorrow and we really start to go out and strategically fill these spots. We have constructed, this should be going live today or early tomorrow. We've gotten three different quotes from Debbie Durham, Jay Byers, and Michael Sadler that identify the value that they see in teaching innovation and engaging people to learn how to innovate within their organizations. We've also put a form at the bottom where individuals can put themselves on a wait list, essentially, outside of the enrollment process, so we aren't causing headaches there. But a way that we can actually identify that we do have a strong group of supporters for the concept, and at the end, when you really look at it, tomorrow, our focus group, which is tomorrow, we had targeted 30 to 40 with the expectation that 15 would show up. We currently have, actually, this just changed, we now have 37 as of an hour ago that have confirmed to be in the focus group. And of those, we also have individuals like, Mike Sadler will be there, but also Ed Wallace from Workforce Development, Tim Whipple from IATA have both confirmed to be there. We have a very good range of leaders, corporate decision owners, and individuals who are target students. So we believe so far this early response and excitement about what we're doing hopefully will translate into us creating a product where we can fill 18 to 24 slots. And because we're doing it in 3 to 4 within 6 different areas, I believe it makes the actual recruiting challenge easier. We're only looking for 3 or 4 people in each different focus area. We're not looking for a general 20 people. So we're able to target and we're able to put a class together. But again, we'll know a whole lot more about whether or not the way we've done this is as efficient as it could be tomorrow at about 1:30. So.
Do you have the, if you get people that want to pay and sign up and participate, do you have the small businesses themselves and issues within those small businesses that people could work on?
We believe so. Let me make sure I'm understanding exactly the question. Sorry, do you mind asking again or maybe rephrasing so I make sure I understand what you're asking?
Well, if I understood correctly, you're trying to bring people in from different experiential backgrounds and training backgrounds to work on small business innovation and development to help a small business change. So are these going to be real situations, or are we going to make those up, or if they are real, do we have those, are we starting to collect those opportunities?
Yes, actually what we would be doing here is on this piece right here, the entire team within the course, I apologize for not being clear on this, is one part would be the class, which would be the 1824 students. The other part is an actual startup. So an actual startup would be there as part of that team, and they would be working as part of that actual startup.
So have you identified those actual startups?
Yep, we have a few that have expressed interest. They want to be a part of it. Based on what the class will look like, on what skill sets we'll have in the class, will be when we make the final decision on which startup we pick. We do have 3 options right now, which all look like very good options. Their businesses are have a corporate relevance. When we went out and started on the startup side for the recruiting, I worked with John LaMarche of VentureNet to put together one-pager just like we had for the student side that made sure it spoke to what the startup community would be wanting to know, make sure it was clear on what we're looking for. Because what we're looking for from the startup side is a startup that's looking to basically sell into corporations. One of our startup problems is you cannot sell to principal in flip-flops. And while that sounds like that should be basic, it might not always be known or appreciated. In order to help what are in a lot of cases communication barriers between corporations who don't really understand what it means to be a startup or what those pieces are. and startups who really just don't understand the value that corporations have achieved and grown over the past decades. We need to be able to put those people in the room and get them working together and understanding each other if we're going to get to a point where we have traditional corporations investing in startups the same way that, taking the chances that Gary would with Symantec, we need principal to be comfortable enough to be taking those same chances with some other technology firm that's coming up. And our theory here is that you really can't do that until you actually know each other. And that doesn't mean that you were sitting in principal for a number of years and then you left and no one realized you left. It was, you've got this product, you need to hone, you need to be building out some of these structures for you to be investable. For the startups, the 3 startups we're talking to are all looking at, they're wanting to be going into either accelerators or be invested in within the next year here. If they go into investment presentation and they say, well, what are you going to do with our money? And they say, oh, we're going to hire some people. And the answer is, how are you going to do that? And they say, well, I think Jimmy might be available, and I don't know, we're thinking of Tim, but Jenny maybe. That is.
Yeah, no, I understand the fit. I was just wanting to make sure that you've got access to a number of good small businesses with good issues for these people that you're going to bring in as students to really work on.
Yep. Yeah, I think we have 3 that are going to be, that each has different strengths and weaknesses, but as far as startups that really are going to be of value, I think we've got 3 very good candidates right now. So.
Good. If it all works, when would your first class take place?
If all goes well, first class would start at 6 p.m. on October 17th. We would be doing the opening session, which would be the opening pitch where the startup would introduce themselves to the class. The class would have a bit of a mixer, so each person within their skill area would get to know what everyone's skills are. Would follow immediately following the Iowa conference, the IO, I don't even know how you pronounce it, I'm sorry, the Iowa conference, which is the tech conference that goes the week there, that finishes on October 17th. So.
Yeah, okay. And going back to, I don't have any other questions on this third one. Maybe somebody else does. How are you coming on the IP issue for project number 2?
Right now what's happening is a MOU is being developed. Jerry Kelly's working with Steve Griffiths to be developing an MOU, which I think my understanding was very close to it. The element of interest here is in option 3 within the current IP policy identifies if something is created by someone who's working for Simpson College but not as part of their class, and there needs to be a breakdown of what share of ownership is between the college and that person. The logic that is being pursued for that is that I'm not
trying to get what the details are going to be. I'm just trying to find out. You had indicated to me that we were kind of at a logjam and it was moving slowly. I know that I talked to Jay and he said there was a meeting scheduled to work on it. I mean, is the heat been turned up? Are you making progress?
Very much so. I think what we're going to have within the next week, if everything goes the same way, is we will have what could be the most attractive IP policy for potential professors out there.
Okay.
If what goes through here, the minimum royalty a professor would be earning by making profitable discoveries at Simpson will essentially be double anywhere else in the world. So.
Hey, if I could weigh in on that, this is Todd, because I'm drafting the MOU as a neutral third party. But the way the process would work is there would be an emerge advisory committee, and that advisory committee would act on behalf of Simpson College to help determine and recommend the proper division of ownership as things come through on a routine basis and then it would flow back through a clean certificate by Simpson that addresses it at the end of the development process would be given by that advisory committee also. And I think you're going to see something along those lines at the Simpson meetings ahead over the next week.
Okay, good. Sounds good.
But your inquiry was incredibly useful, and I think it got us going in the right direction. In addition to Professor Santos's students and his presentation, I think made it so people realize, I mean, this is real. I mean, this is a real issue we're going to have a whole lot sooner than anyone expected, which is exciting.
Yeah, that's what you want. All right.
So, if I could also add the back on the Innovation Immersion Program, and we'll see if Bob Riley really listens to this, because we might get a compliment on it. But really what that program does in my mind is Bob has talked about his polarities, and yes, we have this great incubator in a box, which is a task management program, but this actually brings people, both that are graduates and interested innovators outside of the Simpson community and those inside it through the undergraduate program. So you've got the relationship side being built as well as the task management side. And really then within the organization, like I said, you've got strengths of both cultures, both the startup culture and the established corporate culture, and really trying to show hands-on how balancing that, getting the best out of both, actually drives success in forming the ventures, and then they become obviously a cross-marketing opportunity for Simpson on their Emerge program. So.
Yeah, I like it.
If you know of anyone who isn't going to be involved in the retreat tomorrow that's able to come tomorrow, we still have a bit of space that we can add anyone. And as we go, again, even the process that we've gone by for identifying a value and making sure this is fitting, I think is going to be extremely valuable regardless of what the outcome of focus group is. Being able to identify we're creating something that is needed by industry, I think will be a very good model moving forward for a lot of things there.
Okay, well, anything else then, Chris? I like the progress. Gary?
No, nothing on my part.
Well, thank you all very much. I'll